All right, everyone. Today's episode is entitled, "My Editor's a Fucking Asshole," that decided it was going to be a good idea for me to come on top of this, knowing that my back is completely blown out right now. He's like, it'd be cool. Why don't you get up on top of this fucking thing? And I was like, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of work. And he's like, come on, man. Fucking hipsters he thinks I should have a fucking skateboard up here flying off of this thing right now because it'd be cool in a gun review. Like, that makes any level of sense whatsoever. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Off to a fiery start. Insert that flame emoji right there. Fiery start on today's episode. But we're talking about they're probably not going to like the start, but CMMG Banshee. Sorry, guys. Sometimes the videos start out a little bit wild, but we will get to the review of said gun today. Before we do all that, I sound like a broken record, but it would be great if you would like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. I don't know. Think of a name for me. I am hoping that the Devil's Child really gains traction. That's what I would like my street YouTube nickname to be. I think the Devil's Child has a lot of potential. So, not telling you what to do, but if you wanted to leave a comment just to help the algorithm, Devil's Child might be a good place to start today. So there's that. If you're feeling generous with your stimulus funds, God knows how much is rolling in now since we're just printing money. But, if you want to kick us like $1,200 or like $1,600, if you're like, I don't care if my kids eat, cool. Send us the $1,200, send us the $1,200 on Patreon. We'll go make more videos. The $1,200 will buy us approximately 20 to 25 rounds of 9mm right now, and those are reloads. God knows what factory ammunition would cost. But there's that, and then for those of you curious, you can also hit us up for real estate help. I get it if you're confused, like, why am I watching a gun review and they're talking about real estate? That's what we do behind the scenes. Operate in a lot of different states, got a lot of cool clients. They like to shoot and hunt things, and military, law enforcement, like cool, like red-blooded, cool, badass American shit. That's who most of our clients are. And so if you need anything, you can go to our website and you can hit us up and we'll get back to you pretty quick. Now, that said, jumping into the Banshee. It was an interesting, it's a gun that a lot of people are really, really adamant about. Like it has a very, very big fan base and following. And so when we started putting out posts saying, look, we really want to start making some cool PCC, pistol caliber carbine, for those who, it drives me nuts when people use abbreviations and I don't know what they mean. So PCC, pistol caliber carbine, for those curious. When we started wanting to get into that, and we put up some Instagram posts saying, hey, let us know what subguns you would like to see. For me, frankly, a surprising amount of people were like, yo, you got to do a Banshee. It's like the best subgun, yada, yada, yada. So I reached out to CMMG, and we had a call. Eventually, months later, gun shows up. And it's not my gun. It's just a T&E, testing and evaluation gun. So it's just a loaner. I get to keep it for a little bit to play with it, shoot it, review it, and then ship that bitch back, right? So that's the dynamic of that. Now, as stated, this is a gun that has a lot of love from a lot of people. Almost confusingly so. Almost cult-like following, you might say. Like, there's the HK Nut Riders Club, or HK can do no wrong. There could never be, anything from them that could be anything less than perfect. The Banshee, I wouldn't call it a Banshee Nut Rider Club. We'll reserve that for the HK fans, but definitely a very, very big following. And so I was like, cool, look, I'm happy to do it. It's a bit of an AR-9 variant platform, and we'll get into all that kind of fun stuff here as we go. Now, this one specifically is the Banshee 300, looks like MK, which probably just stands for Mark, GS, right? So it's basically a Glock lower, right? Chambered in 9mm, and this is in burnt bronze. All of that might seem like more details than you need to know. However, it becomes important because there are a massive amount of options for the Banshee platform. And we're going to go ahead and talk about that for a second, okay? If you want a Banshee, you could get it on a Glock lower, right? Which is what I have here. So it's actually probably one of the, I would assume, one of their best sellers, right? So hey, look, if you're a Glock fan, right, and you're like, hey, look, I got Glock 19 mags. That's just a Glock 19 mag with a little like +3 extension. So you can pick what kind of lower it's on. You can pick what kind of barrel length it's got. So primarily, from everything I can tell, really you pick between a 5-inch and an 8-inch barrel. Now this is 5-inch, so this is a super, super short gun, and we will, you know, get into some of the pros and cons of that. You can choose what kind of pistol brace or stock, yes, some of them have stocks, or bare buffer tubes you want. To give you a sense for this, and then you got muzzle device options, right? Some of them have different, you know, brakes, flash hiders, whatever it may be. This one just has a threaded barrel with a thread protector on it. We will get into that. So between different caliber options and lower options, there's 16 different variations there. I'm loading more. And so I load more. And I scroll to the bottom, I'm like, there's a lot of Banshees. And the load more button was there again, okay? And we went through multiple evolutions of this. And then I thought, I gotta know how many Banshees are there? 116. 116. There are 116 versions of this between barrel lengths and which kind of lower do you want, and stocks and braces and muzzle devices. Motherfucker, I'm gonna say it again, 116 variations of the Banshee. CMMG, if you guys see this video, this is just how the channel goes, right? You just gotta roll with it. It's a rated R channel, right? I say motherfucker that's a loving term. That's like a term of affection that I use with people, right? So 116 was a staggering statistic. I was like, I cannot believe that there are that many variations of this. How in the hell would anyone ever even know which one to pick? The one that I've got, which is the 300 series, is the shortest. I can't remember what difference, the only one I can tell you is the 300 series, which is the one that I've got. There's clearly many series. This is the shortest one, right? AR9 platform, so for those of you who are, you know, a bit newer to this kind of thing, just to make this very simple for you, hey look, this is a 9mm pistol, right? And it has the same manual of arms as an AR, right? So you're gonna have your mag release over here. You are gonna have your charging handle is gonna work just like a standard AR charging handle. And then your bolt release is going to be right here. And then you're gonna have a safety that's gonna be here. And then also ambi on the other side. Nice feature on that, since I actually am a lefty. Okay, AR controls. Disclaimer on this, radial delayed blowback firearm, okay? What you're gonna wanna do, because you're like, tell us more about that, Jake. Not gonna do it, okay? You're gonna wanna go to the internet and you're gonna wanna talk to way smarter people than me that have any interest in telling you what the hell a delayed radial blowback firearm is. Like, I actually hit up a buddy, Mark Quimby, shout out to you, who's knowledgeable in this stuff and knows the Banshee fairly well. And I'm like, can you tell me what the hell that is? He told me what it is. I still can't tell you what it is, okay? I intellectually heard it and I was like, I'm purging that information from my mind. I don't care. Does it shoot good? Yes or no? That's kind of what we do on this channel. You want the details and the science? Not gonna happen, not gonna happen. Okay, this particular one has pistol brace, as you can clearly see right here. Magpul grip, you know, I'm neither here nor there on that, it's fine, you know. The trigger, okay, so let's talk about the trigger for a sec. So the trigger is it's a single stage mil-spec trigger, and it is the, so there's no take up, like you're on the wall right away. Again, just 101 stuff. People are like, what's a single stage, right? Basically, instead of a little bit of take up, then you hit a wall, and then you squeeze through that wall, and then the gun goes off. You're just on the wall right away. There's really no take up. So there's like the most slightest of slight little bit of play in there, but basically you're on the wall right away. And then the dumbass could take his safety off, that would help. And then the gun goes off. It is like, you know, it's a very average mil-spec trigger. Why that is of note to me is, hey, this particular model is $1,600. And at $1,600, personally, I would like to see a better trigger in the gun, okay? To me, this is definitely a bit sloppy once we start talking, hey, you got a $1,600 gun, it's, you know, it's okay. Like that, you know, it's okay. Like that's about as, it's okay. It's definitely not gonna, like, you're not gonna write home about it. It's not horrible, it's definitely not good, it's okay. It does have the ambi safety on it, which is a nice touch. It's just, you know, very kind of like standard mil spec ambi safety. It's not like a Radian or something like that. Would that have been nice? Sure. Would that maybe have increased the price? Sure. Could you swap that out? And, you know, obviously this one goes to 90 instead of 45 degrees. Could you swap it out for something like a Radian? Yes. And if it was my gun, I probably would be making that modification. Slight case of the hiccups that just seemed to hit me out of nowhere there. So if you're like, why is he doing that? It'll clear itself up. Ambi safety, the sling attachment, you've got some, it's a little, you know, now that I'm actually thinking about it, like real time on the spot, it's a little it's kind of great and kind of weird. So you have a sling attachment on your little base plate here at the back of the receiver, right? And really it's designed for a sling that's going to be run on snap hooks. For those, a little bit of a shameless plug, but Slide Tactical, a company that we've got an affiliate thing with, but also done reviews on their stuff. Like me and Chris run a lot of their stuff on snap hooks. I took one of my Slide Tactical slings, threw it on this, clips in, fine, great, easy. One thing I like about how they have their sling attachment here is that it's ambi, right? So basically you've got an attachment point on the left or the right, which for me as a lefty, I'm attaching on the right. So that is a nice touch. Are there better snap hook attachment styles than this? Probably, but like this is fine. You know, it's fine and it's ambi, so hey, point on that. Why I say it's a little bit unusual is because, hey, look, I've got to have snap hooks to clip in here if I'm going to run single point, but if I wanted to run 2-point, hey, look, my pistol brace has QD mounts on both sides, and then logically, more than likely, I'm going to have to, I mean, you're going to have to run some sort of sling attachment on the rail if you wanted to run a 2-point. So my point to all of that is I would have liked to have seen, in this particular case, actually a QD base plate here just to streamline this. Hey, look, my sling can have 2 QD points and streamline between the brace and whatever I've got happening at the front end of the gun and the base plate. Like that's, you know, just my 2 cents is a little nitpicky, sure, but that's, you know, that's the nature of the game. A very slight minimalist magwell that's on this. I haven't, you know, it's not like a big bulky like competition oriented magwell. It's pretty discreet. Does it help? Yes, it's better than like, you know, just a box into a box. Like it has a little bit of a funnel that's going to help guide you. The Glock mags on subguns always have that weird angle that to me aesthetically is unpleasing, where the mag kind of angles itself backwards. That's, you know, a selfish statement. I'm just telling you aesthetically, I never really liked the way the Glock mags look in a PCC lower like that. So anyway, there's that. One thing that is nice on this, we've got a nice big fat mag release that's here on the right side of the gun. So if you've got, you know, even a reasonable size hand and you're running as a righty, your index finger should be able to hit that no problem. So it's a nice big paddle, which is nice. It's also recessed in a little bit, so there's really no snag portion where like this is just sticking out and gonna catch on some kit or something like that and eject your mag. So good job on the mag release, do like that. We've got 5-inch barrel. You know, that's just a statement of fact. There's really no commentary on that. It's just a 5-inch barrel. And the barrel is threaded, okay? So 1/2x28 threads, and this would probably bring me to one thing that I would have liked to have seen done differently on this, which is, look, we've got a threaded barrel, so you can throw a suppressor on this, but it's gonna have to be a direct thread suppressor. Versus on something like an MP5 or the B&Ts, where not on the B&Ts. The B&Ts are only tri-lug, but the MP5, you've got your pick between direct thread or tri-lug. That's what I would have liked to have seen on this is, hey, I'm cool with the threads. I just wish they would have tri-lugged the barrel. That way I can just quick attach, throw a can on that, take it off, versus having to deal with thread protectors and all that kind of shit. So that's just my 2 cents. I think they could have, you know, done that on the barrel. And again, at a $1,600 price point, look, it's not the most, but it's also not the cheapest. It's in this kind of hybrid zone of, it's not cheap. I mean, 16 that's not a cheap gun. I mean, at that same price tag, you've got a B&T GHM9. While I don't have any personal experience on that gun, I would tell you, I mean, it seems good. I mean, I can't even really say it seems good. I mean, it does seem good, but I don't have any experience to comment. How does this compare to something at the same price tag like a GHM? So I disregard that point. But hey, would have liked to have seen tri-lug on the barrel. M-LOK handguard, I mean, you've got a pretty minimal amount of M-LOK. One thing that I would have liked to have seen that to me would have been a slam dunk, and I don't know why they didn't do this, is you got M-LOK on the left and right side of the handguard and on the bottom actually, but on these 45 offsets, it's just cutouts to reduce some weight, give a little ventilation to the barrel. To me, I don't know why they wouldn't have made that M-LOK. To me, that was like, well, why, you know, you're already going through the trouble of milling this out, or someone is, like, why not M-LOK this? You already M-LOK this, M-LOK that. Just my 2 cents. Seems like a little bit of a logical thing though, a little bit of a miss on that. On the handguard, you do have this finger stop that's right at the end here. It is both nice and I would say necessary, because you have such a short handguard that the reality is, look, even though you got an M-LOK attachment down here, you're really not going to be attaching any hand stops or vertical grips. Obviously, this is a pistol, you can't anyway, but you're really not going to be attaching anything right here because you simply don't have the rail space to do it. That said, I like having an index point of where my hand goes, so that little finger stop that is there is nice. It's a nice little index point. Again, especially given how close the barrel winds up, basically how close your hand winds up to the end of that barrel. It's a nice touch. I do like that. It seems like a small detail, but it's one that as I'm shooting, I'm very glad is there. Ambi charging handle, it's gonna be, you know, the charging handle's good, intuitive. It's, you know, gonna operate like pretty much any other ambi charging handle, but it's good. Tactile, good. Nothing but positive things to say about that. In terms of some of my opinion stuff, I would tell you, hey, you know, at the end of the day, you know, kind of the biggest point is, okay, well, how does it shoot? A little bit of a mixed experience here. So I've had some malfunctions, and we've probably showed some of those throughout the video. If not, we'll probably show you a couple here, but I've had a couple different malfunctions. Mostly, it seems like the malfunctions are happening when there's a suppressor on the gun, okay? And that has caused plenty of issues. Frankly, the gun malfunctions quite frequently when there's a suppressor on it. Now, if you're like, well, that's it, I'm out. Stay with me, okay? I haven't changed anything out in terms of how this gun came. I did not instruct anyone at CMMG, like, hey, look, there's gonna be a suppressor on it. Let's make sure the gun's either tuned or has the proper buffer in it. So chances are, again, I am as far from a gunsmith as you can get. Chances are, I would assume, hey, look, if you were changing out buffer weights, that's probably gonna begin to solve some of that. Because look, I've had double feeds, kind of inline stovepipe-ish things. I've had some scenarios where I just get a dead trigger, like the round ejected, new round is in, but the trigger didn't reset. And it's not because I didn't take my finger off to reset the trigger. For some reason, it just didn't reset and I have a dead trigger now. And then I've had times where that kind of like just magically, like, then somehow it just resets itself out of nowhere. So it's a little bit unpredictable. That seems to be mostly with the suppressor. So I'm really not dinging the gun for that, because I think that's probably very easy to work around and a very easy fix. One thing that I have had multiple times with or without a suppressor on is basically the, I don't even know what the malfunction would be considered. Basically, hey, look, I've got a round in the gun, but I cannot get the charging handle back. And basically, I've got to like mortar the charging handle, right? And I don't know what that is, because when I do that, typically it's not a, you know, an empty shell that got lodged. There's a round in there, and just given circumstances, I needed to clear a round out, and just that charging handle won't go, and then you have to wind up, you know, mortaring the gun and getting it out. That's happened probably, I don't have a high round count on the gun because ammo prices, but that's happened probably 5 times in the course of, I don't know, I'm gonna guess I've got maybe 300 rounds or so through this gun, 300 to 400. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. That has happened a few times. Can't quite trace why that's happening. So yeah, that's most of my notes. In terms of how the gun shoots when it's, you know, cycling properly, it shoots very nice. The trigger, again, not a giant fan, and at $1,600, I would expect to see something a little bit more refined than that. The gun shoots very fast. You can definitely be accurate and fast with a relatively low skill amount, I would say. You can run the piss out of this thing, especially if you're a good shooter. Between the 5-inch and the 8-inch, hey, that's all personal preference. One thing I would say with this, much as I would say about the B&T APC9 Pro K version, is that, look, you're gonna get real low on rail space depending on what you need to do. So depending on what needs to go in this gun, like if you gotta throw a light on, you can, but like, hey, it's gonna start getting tight, okay? So you gotta be aware of that. Or like, hey, do you have to have backup iron sights and a light? And a pressure pad, hypothetically. It's like, hey, we are getting real tight now. So take all that into consideration. I think that this is very well served as something like a backpack gun, especially, hey, look, if you condense this down into more of a backpack configuration, collapse the brace down, get a shorter mag just so you're not printing within the bag. Look, that will get in a very compact bag. And in terms of something where it's like, hey, look, I've got my CCW gun on, but I'd like to have something in the truck, in a bag for like if something really went down, cool. Honestly, makes a lot of sense. I think it's a very good platform for that. Very discreet. You could take that in and out of a lot of different places in a bag and no one's gonna have any clue what's going on. Follow your local and state laws, kids, okay? Don't take me out of context on that. But I do think it's a good platform for a lot of different things. Little bit hit and miss on me. I would call this like a 50-50 review. I do enjoy shooting it. It's nice to shoot. I've just had a little bit of issues. I find it a little expensive per the value that I'm getting. So, hey, a little bit of a 50-50 thing there. So take it all with a grain of salt. Limited lifetime warranty, by the way. Now I do sound like I'm on QVC. So yeah, there's that. That's the Banshee. Hey, you asked for this one. This was one based purely on viewership demand that we went and did. So hey, you know, whatever that means. That's that. Stay in school. And as always, don't do drugs, safe sex, all of the good things. Keep it real, kids.